It's hard to believe that we're over halfway there into the Civ 6 leader pass, and with that, the leaks are starting to dwindle. We had a lot of information regarding the audio files, which I'll be digging into a little bit today, along with the initial one or two leader passes that dropped. But now, as we get into the passes like China and now Africa, we're starting to see a dwindling, if you will, of information that is out there. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of speculation and then talking about what we actually know about the leaders in this video. So if you are interested in that, please stay tuned. Sundiata Kaida is going to be the first leader that I want to talk about today because he had the more interesting audio file description aside from Ramses. One, because that talks about him being a hunter, a magician, and then it being time to rule Mali. Probably one of the vaguest descriptions, but I thought I'd give it a shout out because it was very cool. And two, one of the reasons I want to cover him today is because Mali has one of the more interesting abilities. It is one of the few civs, if not the only civ, that specifically is built to thrive in the desert, and desert river tiles at that function wonderfully with the Suguba. So his ability, no doubt, is going to have some synergy with deserts, I feel, but potentially just looking back on his biographical details, I think that there's going to be focus on military conquest and perhaps industry bonuses to upgrading or something along the lines of that. Maybe he gets culture or science out of it. I just feel that the desert is already very well covered under Mali's ability and the songs of the Jailis, so probably going to see something military related and possibly something with religion and Islam that the Civ devs want to tie into that. So anything is possible, but I feel that's the rough outline of where they're going to take Sundiata Kaida. Now, if there was any time to grant something like a unique trader, and bear in mind, we have not seen any unique building replacements, district replacements, or unit replacements for that matter in this past, I honestly don't think there will be. But again, if there is any time to see something like a unique trader, which we have not seen in the series so far, I think it would be time now to do that with Mali. They have an incredible trading game. Their units are devoted to trade. Their civ ability functions very well with trade. It would make a lot of sense to give them something like a trader unit that perhaps performs faster in the desert or grants better yields based on faith to make faith buying easier. Who knows, but there needs to be something, I think. If you guys in the comment section agree with me, let me know, but I think that would add an extra oomph or edge to a lot of the leaders and round out their abilities a lot more. Since we're on the topic of adding new complexity and dimensions to civilizations, Ptolemaic Cleopatra is an interesting scenario because one, we don't know that much about personas, and two, Cleopatra's base game abilities are very basic and there is so much they could do to flesh them out and add another bit of complexity, if you will, to the dynamic Cleopatra has going on with trades, and even to add some functionality into wonders and building different projects across her empire. Historically, Cleopatra was known for her diplomatic maneuvering and espionage, not necessarily her trade, which the Civ franchise likes to highlight, I think, to a difficult degree, I would say, because it is not exactly the most interesting mechanic watching those passive tiles and yields kind of expand and tick up. It is if you are one of the players, I guess, that likes to micromanage and build taller empires, but for a lot of the Civ base, myself included to some degree, it can kind of get boring on repeated playthroughs because once you've kind of used her ability to amass food and faith, aside from like the Sphinx and a few other details, like wonder rushing if you really want to get in the Civ 5 Ramses field of flavor for Egypt, there is not too much to get with Egypt's trading ability, and I think Ptolemaic Cleopatra could add something more with Mirianu chariot rushes, with something that takes advantage of their speed and their ability to be not only a fast ranged unit, but to be a ranged unit in general, as they are very, very powerful in the earlier eras. So something that capitalizes on that would be very, very good. One of my big gripes and problems with Cleopatra in general, at least in the base game, is that while her alliance building and trade route creation is good, I think, in the long run, if you are setting up that and playing to that style specifically, it doesn't necessarily feel Egyptian-ish, and I think Ramses may give her a run for her money because there's not really a unique identity, and I'd like to see Ptolemaic Cleopatra have something like perhaps increased production to diplomatic centers, increased production to government plazas, or something that makes you invest in the more diplomatic side of things without being a complete warlord. Maybe she has bonuses to city-states, something that gives her or you, the player, a desire to interact with other people and build trade networks, something that rewards you more so than just playing a specific style like Japan or Portugal, where you favor international or domestic trade. I know it's kind of a lot to ask because trade can be one dimensional. With Civ 6, just sending trade routes and clicking a few buttons is not too complex, but maybe something that is more than stacking. Maybe you have to have better relations to get better yields with the AI. It encourages you to send delegations. Something that is more productive, I think, towards the diplomatic scene with Cleopatra. If there was one thing we could get out of her persona, I think it would be that, something that is key to her character historically speaking. Lastly, with Civ 6, we have Ramses II, who in Civ 5, at least in his iteration, was very similar to what we now have with Qin Shi Huang and his focus on wonders. He had a flat bonus in Civ 5 to wonders, and he may have something similar, he may not, but one thing that I do hope that he goes hard on is rivers. I'd like to see some river bonuses, something with natural disasters and flooding. Egypt already has bonuses related to that. I'd like to see a further capitalization. He doesn't have to rush wonders and steal China's gist, but I'd like to see something that focuses on wonders, something on rivers, maybe synergy between the two. There is an excellent mod out there that has a unique district for Egypt, and by no means am I expecting Ramses to get a unique district. So far, I don't expect anyone to with this pack, but something that a lot of leaders have, and I think giving this to Ramses would rectify it, is not getting a big enough push early game to really get their economy going. I think something like an obelisk with faith and production could easily circumvent this, but honestly, it's really up to what the Civ devs decide to put in the game for him. A gameplay mechanic that the Civ 6 devs are shying away from recently with the Leader Pass and even with the New Frontier Pass are religion mechanics, and I think that needs to change for one. I know the devs at Firaxis do not want to, this late in the game, rework religion and the religious systems. They had that chance with Rise and Fall, they had it with Gathering Storm, and they even had it to a degree with the New Frontier Pass. I mean, the Void Singers, to their credit, did something with that, but memes and spam aside, missionaries can be a big deal for a lot of players, which is why they don't like religion and they kind of puke at the very mention of it. And I don't think it should be shoved down everyone's throat. It should just be a little bit of a nod here and there to Ramses' historical building of temples, his patronage of the Kemet religion, or Egyptian religion for that matter. So something like districts generating passive great profit points would be great. I just think there needs to be an alternative. And there are some very good features and religions, like with the different beliefs you can add to build a backbone to building different wonders and monuments. For example, there are bonuses to get that rush towards ancient and classical era wonders going. But that aside, even if there's not a heavy focus on religion, I'd still like to see districts generate passive points. Maybe districts in general have a tendency to not just generate great profit points, but great person points in general. Something that focuses on patronizing people like Pedro II, that could really distinguish Ramses II as a leader and not just another figurehead that they are adding for Egypt. So I'd like to see more identity with this pass. I'd like to see leaders do several different things to add more, again, flavor and abilities to the already pre-existing civs and not just capitalize off of what we already have. If Ramses had more trade route bonuses, I think I would have a heart attack. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I think there could be more of an investment from all angles, especially the art studio and art department, to emphasize new units and new districts. But this is a free pass for most people after all. So I know it can be a bit tricky. This is kind of topping things off for Civ 6. So maybe they don't want to go all in if they are focusing on another entry into the series like Civ 7. But again, let me know what you guys think so far of the pass. I think the last few editions have been bangers, but that could be a spicy opinion. Who knows? Let me know, though. And I hope to see you guys later. All right. Peace.